Welcome to the newest episode of 60 Card Bricks, a Yu-Gi-Oh podcast. My name is Carlos.
And I'm Ty.
In this episode, we'll discuss Yu-Gi-Oh news for the week of August 18th through the 26th and discuss the OCG and TCG Metagames. Enjoy the show.
Time to
You can buy a single of that card for like 50 cents on Amazon.
Don't worry, I believe in the heart of the cards.
All right, Ty. Megatins. That's what we got. A lot of Megatin news, and we're going to dive right into it. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, so starting with the promos, because that was the big news earlier in the week, was what were these promos going to be? And then we get them.
We got them for sure, but
Not what we were expecting, to say the least.
yes.
Do you want to read through the first
Sure.
one at least?
Two secret rares for the two tins, and they are Elemental Hero Nebula Neos, level 9 Earth Warrior Fusion Effect Monster, 3000 attack, 2500 defense. The materials are Elemental Hero Neos, Neospatian Grandmo, and Neospatian Dark Panther. Its effect must first be special summoned from your extra deck by shuffling the above cards you control into the deck. You do not use polymerization. If this card is special summoned from the extra deck, draw cards equal to the number of cards your opponent controls. Then negate the effect of one face-up card on the field until the end of this turn. And once per turn during the end phase, shuffle this card into the extra deck. And if you do, banish all cards on the field face down.
Yeah, I mean, it's good.
It's really good, but then, well, you still have to get Elemental Hero Neos, which is a 2500 normal monster, level 7. Neospatian Grandmo, which is a 900 monster that bounces to 3. Hello, it's back to 3, so it's good. And then Dark Panther, so it's good, but then it's really hard to get it out.
Exactly. Like, it doesn't do anything to make Neospatians better. Like, it does, like, yes, it's a cool boss monster. That's why I was meh. Like, because it doesn't progress their game, like, at all, you know? It's something cool to end on, but how are you getting there? I don't see how this deck is getting to this point.
I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there already thought of like a 3-card combo with like Elemental Hero Prisma to send something.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a big power boost, but then it doesn't boost the consistency of the deck.
Exactly.
It's just boosts like the choices of the extra deck, and the card is really good.
Yeah.
Like you can gain a lot of advantage. We can get it out, but it's not the easiest to get it out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all right. I don't know. I've never been a fan of that archetype, but it's not very good. So
Yeah.
I think we can chalk it up to one of those cards that it's broken, but in the wrong archetype. You know, like yeah.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to Junk Speeder. We have a level 5 Wind Warrior Synchro Effect Monster, 1800 attack, 1000 defense. Materials, 1 Synchron Tuner and 1 non-tuner monster. If this card is Synchro Summoned, you can special summon as many Synchron Tuners as possible with different levels from your deck in defense position. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except Synchro monsters the turn you activate this effect. When an attack is declared involving this card that was Synchro Summoned this turn by another monster, you can make this card's attack become double its original attack until the end of the turn. You can only use each effect of Junk Speeder once per turn.
It's a very good card.
This
It's way
is-
better than
yes.
than the counterpart.
This
Two-
card is
yeah.
crazy.
Two very interesting things. So first of all, it can out Ultimate Falcons because it's 3500, and this card can be 3600. Second of all, the special summon as many Synchron Tuners as possible is it's not up to, so you cannot just choose like 4 monsters to special. You have to special as many as possible to the zone that you have. So if you have 5 available zone, you have to summon 5 Synchron Tuners from the deck. Of course, that's if you play like 5 different level and different name Synchron Tuners.
So if you don't have the tuners to summon, you can't summon any?
Yes.
Dang. This card is still ridiculous.
Yes, I've seen combos.
Triple Omega?
Yes, I've seen 2-card combos with a way to get double warrior and a junk synchron in your hand. A way to get double warrior in the graveyard and a junk synchron from your hand, and then it will end with like triple Omega and a crystal wing. So that's very good, of course.
Yes. This card, I mean, look, I'm a huge fan of spamming Omega, so I'm okay with this card. I think what a lot of people weren't super excited at first with any of these promos. I think a lot of it is because of what we were hoping was in it. But I think when people read this card, they just saw you can't summon monsters from the extra deck except synchro monsters the turn you activate this effect, and immediately went, oh, that's not going to be good. But they completely forgot about Omega, which is why I think Omega is what makes this card ridiculous, because Omega's ability to get itself off the field while at the same time ripping cards out of your opponent's hand. It's just, I mean, this card, I really like this card.
And I think I've seen a combo to get Red Dragon Archfiend, the boss monster, level 12, out in your opponent's turn, so that you can just stop everything they're doing. They cannot normal summon monster, they cannot activate effect. So if you can pull that off, yeah, you basically just won the game. So yeah, this card has a lot of potential for sure.
I'm very curious. I won't say excited, but I'm curious to see how people are going to abuse this card.
Probably in a junk double list.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so moving on to the one when we found out this card. We were at we were at locals, and we literally had people jumping up and down, screaming, essentially, out of excitement. And we're of course talking about Elemental Hero Solid Soldier is what it's named now, but Solid Man was the original name. It's level 4 Earth Warrior effect monster, 1300 attack, 1100 defense. When this card is normal summoned, you can special summon one level 4 or lower hero monster from your hand. If this card is sent from the monster zone to the graveyard by a spell effect, you can target one hero monster in your graveyard except Elemental Hero Solid Soldier, special summon it in defense position. You can only use this effect of Elemental Hero Solid Soldier once per turn.
It's basically what heroes need.
Yes.
It's a goblin bird that can be searchable.
Yep.
It's it gives you recovery when you poly with it or you mass change with it. And most importantly, you have a main deck monster to mass change into Dian now, Mask Hero Dian. And that's just a big boost to the deck's power overall.
It's a good card. I don't think it breaks heroes or anything, but it's just a really, really good card. That the deck, like you said, it's what it needed. Yeah. So, I'm happy for hero players everywhere. All right, you want to move on to the next one?
Sure. Keeper of a Dragon Magic, level 4 Dark Dragon type effect monster, 1800 attack, 1300 defense. If this card is normal special summon, you can discard one card, add one polymerization normal spell card, or fusion normal spell card from your deck to your hand. You can reveal one fusion monster from your extra deck, special summon one of the fusion material whose name is specifically listed on that monster from your graveyard in face down defense position. You can only use each effect of Keeper of Dragon Magic once per turn. You cannot special summon monster from the extra deck except fusion monsters the turn you activate either of this card's effect.
What do you think?
Basically, this is a one-card turbo to get out Dark Magician the Dragon Knight in Dark Magician. So, I mean, yeah, because the effect to special summon from the deck in face down position is still very good because you can fuse with face down monsters.
Yep.
So it's almost a non-restriction in that sense. And yeah, it's just a boost to Dark Magician to get out Dark Magician the Dragon Knight like much easier. And then we all know the the combo of Dark Magician the Dragon Knight and then the Trap Eternal Soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. I didn't think of that application, but you're 100% right. That card it very much helps that strategy. So that's cool. I don't know. I'm not gonna be using this card that I see in anything that I'm playing.
Dark Magician and Heroes are just not our decks.
Yeah, exactly. So we apologize for the lack of excitement. This is just not our thing. But hey, we're happy for you guys. So there we go. We will move on to Mud Dragon of the Swamp. We have a level 4 Water Worm Fusion Effect monster. Attack 1900, defense 1600. Materials: 2 monsters with the same attribute but different types. Your opponent cannot target this card or monsters on the field with the same attribute as this card with effects. Once per turn, quick effect, you can declare one attribute. This card becomes that attribute until the end of this turn.
I mean, there's only one word for this card, and it's super polymerization, but we don't have it. So
Yep.
I don't think this card will have much like viability at all without super poly. So yeah,
Yeah, nothing to see here as far as I can tell.
maybe if Bahamut Shark is ever going to be like viable again, this is a instant fusion target to go into that.
True.
And then get a toad. But I don't know.
Yeah. All right, moving on.
I'm not going to talk about Arcana Extra Joker because it's really bad.
No point.
It needs 3 warrior names. It's just legacy support for the Queen, King, and then the Knight. So, but we have a meme card, Junk Collector, level 5 Light Warrior Effect Monster, 1000 attack, 2200 defense. Quick effect, you can banish this card on the field and 1 normal trap in your graveyard. Apply that banish trap effect. So I don't know for sure, but I've heard that this is a card needed for the final countdown FTK. Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
sure.
Yeah, again, it's a meme card. So that's what we got. Moving on, we have Stardust Assault Warrior, level 6 Wind Warrior Synchro Effect Monster, attack 2100, defense 1200. Materials: 1 tuner, 1 non-tuner monster. When this card is synchro summoned, while you control no other monsters, you can target 1 junk monster in your graveyard, special summon it. You can only use this effect of Stardust Assault Warrior once per turn if this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage.
Yeah, just generic junk support, and then like I think it's a part of the combo where you go into this last, and then you can special a level 2 junk tuner from the graveyard, and then go into the Omega. So
Awesome.
nothing much to say, but
Yeah, awesome. All right, moving
this next one is pretty good though. Martial Metal Marker, Marcher. I think it changed its name from Battle Tin Mech something. But level 3 Wind Machine Synchro Tuner Effect Monster, 500 attack, 2200 defense, 1 tuner, 1 plus non-tuner monsters. If this card is synchro summoned, you can target 1 tuner in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position, but then negates its effect. You can only use this effect of blah 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 once per turn, and then a synchro monster that used this card as material is treated as a tuner while face up on the field. Yeah, again, just a part of the junk family to help climbing up, basically.
Yep. Awesome.
And I don't think we need to talk about the link 2 because, again, it's really bad.
Yeah, Junk Collector. There's nothing important here. You guys can read it if you want. It's on yugioh organization.
Yes.
All right, moving on.
Well, we have to talk about what's not in here.
Okay.
And I'm
yeah.
very sad because
Yeah.
I've been the biggest needle fiber. Just give me that, but no, it's not in here. We didn't get Cherubini either. We didn't get Arrowser, the Jasmine, the plant link one. We didn't get anything except for like hero players. Congrats to you, and junk players, I guess. Yeah, the promos is. It's not last year. It's not Part of Desires. It's not Proxy Dragon. And this year we don't even have tokens. We don't even have tokens.
Yeah. Look, I'm as disappointed as everybody else. I mean, I know it was all our fault. Like, no, they didn't really say like anything to make us. I mean, I guess there was that one like article that they instantly edited that got everyone thinking, oh, it's needle fiber. But there was no reason for them to put any of this in here. Why would we think that they're gonna put it in here? I don't know. It's
Well, because the OCG is about to get the second volume of Link Brain Spark,
That
and
is
we
very
haven't
true.
get the whole of the first one yet.
think about that. That is something that I just want us to dwell on it just for a second. The OCG is gonna get the sequel before we get the
20 extra Link monsters, and we still have 5 left. That's not important.
Is this?
Like,
Oh my
come on.
gosh. It's just
Needle Fiber is going to get banned before in the OCG before it's here.
that's so true. Yeah, yes, there's definitely some really interesting stuff in these promos, but I think we're probably always gonna remember this tin as the one where we should have gotten Needle Fiber or something from Link Reigns, as being disappointing. And that might not be fair to some of these cards, like we said, that are actually pretty good, but it's what we're gonna remember it as, because it's also their own fault because they're not giving us the cards in any sort of timely fashion.
Yes.
So yeah, it's not all on us for hyping up these tins. You know, how about you give us these cards that the OCG got all at once? But whatever. Let's move on to what's actually in the tins. Lots and lots of secret rares. 24 to be exact. Where did this come from?
I mean,
What?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
I know that there's some excitement around this, but at the same time, to me, this just screams this is going to be harder to pull the good ones.
Yeah, out of the 24, 11 of them is like we don't really care about. 11 secrets, we don't really need more copies of it, at least now, but they're just giving us that, and then, yeah, it's just worst percentage to pull what we want.
Yeah. Now, there is a cool element to it. I mean, we could list all these off, but I mean, you can go and find this online. There's a lot, but
The whole Magnite engines, like you have to praise.
yes. That I'm super excited about because I've been wanting to buy into Mechanites, but I don't feel like spending as much money. So I'm hoping that these are pretty cheap out the gate, and I can just get them and play some Mechnite Invoked. That being said, it's cool. I mean, the one cool aspect of this that I actually really think is a good thing is that this means with all of these reprints on top of Battles of Legend, on top of Shadows of Valhalla, this means that the majority, it's not quite all, but it's the majority of secret rares from all the core sets that from the past year have been reprinted.
Yes.
Which I think that is awesome for the players. Good job.
Definitely.
They've screwed it up still slightly. You can see my rant from the last episode about Ash Blossom.
Hey, there's no ash in here.
Exactly. But I do think that it is good that expensive cards
Have more options.
Yes.
Like have more printing. So
have
that
more
people,
printings.
it's more accessible.
Yes, exactly. And I think I really like that it's within a year. You're not making budget players wait super long to get these cards. Theoretically, of course, see Ash. Theoretically, you're giving these to the players. But at the same time, it's a double-edged sword because now we have to deal with worse ratios, and I'm really hoping that they don't short print anything on top of this. They don't traditionally do it, but I am scared with the track record here. So
For the Ultra Rares one, like there's 2 that I really like, and I'm glad that Konami decided to include them in here, which is Knowledge and Autogeist Meluseek. Both of them only have 1 printing, and Meluseek definitely, if Autogeist become like one of the best deck of the format, then that card I can just see just shut up. But now, like there's 1 more printing, so the hype won't be as painful.
I think in terms of the Ultras, I think there's notable cards by their absence, but we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, I overall, I think that this is a good thing. It's more good than bad.
It's an okay job.
Yes.
7 out of 10.
Yes, there we go. Fair enough. All right, let's move on to what's actually not in these tins, and I think the most notable are that of the Ultras, and we can start with, Isolde.
Yes.
What a lot of people are taking this to mean that it's going to get hit on the ban list.
I don't think so at all.
I don't think so either.
No chance.
I think they will probably find somewhere else to reprint this and make their money off it sold.
Because like people said this is good in Goki, but this is also essential in Heroes.
Yes.
This is also essential in like, I don't know, Noble Knights itself, I guess. But like my point is that it's meant to be a Noble Knight support, but it's just a very, very good warrior support altogether. Like it's insane what the cards can do. And I don't think it's going to get banned. Not this early. If Konami does so, then more power to them, I guess. But yeah, I don't think it's going to get banned at all.
I don't either. I think they'll find another place to do this. I think a lot of people have theorized, oh, maybe they'll reprint it in the hero structure that's coming or whatever. Sure, maybe. That's certainly a possibility. I do think they'll find somewhere else to reprint this and make their money off of it. So, what other absences stand out to you?
Ignis Heat, for sure. It's a 3-of now, and it still only have one printing in Maximum Crisis, and then the copies on the markets is like drying up. So, like True Draco is like okay-ish for now, but if it's like one of the best deck of the format again, I can see this being a $10 ultra rare. Yeah, which I don't really like, but
it could be problematic if the deck becomes great again. But for right now, it's not an issue. But down the road, I definitely see what you're saying. It could be.
Another one is Double Helix, but then I'm actually not as worried about Double Helix as with Ignis Heat because simply there were too many copies of Double Helix getting pulled because first of all, like everybody was getting those for the Spiral hype, and it was like the best deck of the format. And second of all, it was in CIBR Circuit Break, and the special edition was Solemn Strike. I knew myself, I bought like 6 special edition just to get the playset of Strike themselves.
Yeah.
So I must have opened like a lot of packs from the set. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There's plenty of those on the market, so it's not that big of a deal. Dynamite's also on there, but it's a 1-of. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, honestly, those are like two biggest thing, Ignis and Isolde. And of course Ash, but then I didn't think that they were going to reprint Ash again.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What about the Mythical Beast, the other one that's played in that engine?
Yeah, true. Jackal King.
Yeah, that one's not in there. That, if pendulums ever rise again, that's certainly a possibility for holding
Pendulum's
some
still
value.
good.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like rise
I got you.
one of the best decks of the format or whatever. So I think that's pretty much it. True King's Return stands out to me, but that's a 1-of as well. Zodiac Chakanine stands out because I forgot that it was in Maximum Crisis. That's not in there, but doesn't really matter unless they decide to bring back Zoo in any form. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it in terms of what's not in there that stands out. But let's move on.
Yeah.
All right, we will move on to some more news, and let's talk about a Savage Strike card that was announced, and that is some new Prank Kids support. I think this card is very, very important to Prank Kids.
Yeah. All right, I will read what it is. Prank Kids Rock, level 4 Earth Rock effect monster, 1500 attack, 1500 defense. You can only activate this effect of the card name once per turn. If this card is sent to the graveyard as a material for a Prank Kids Fusion or Link monster, you can banish 1 card from your hand, and if you do, draw 1 card. Then you can special summon 1 Prank Kid monster from your hand or deck in defense position, except Prank Kids Rock. So, banishing from hand to draw another card, and we immediately think of Thunder Dragon to mix in with the deck.
Yep. This is a good card.
Yeah. It just... like Thunder Dragon with Prank Kids were like a thing, but like not too great before. But then with this one, like it actually makes the deck really strong, and it can end with Thunderbolt, Super Thunderbolt Dragon, like very consistently most of the time.
So let me ask you something. Prank Kids is not doing too much over in the OCG, correct? Does this change that?
I can see the variant of Prank Kids Thunder Dragon being one of the good decks, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't think, like we talked about this. We have a quick play Arageki, we have a quick play heavy feather duster, but then like getting the fusion and the link 4 is also not as easy as we thought, and it's not a like legitimate like stopper during the opponent's turn. But with the Super Bowl Thunder Dragon, like it adds a whole another dimension where you just stun them, don't let them add cards from deck to hand, and it's just really hard to play. If you can play like any deck, and then it's hard to play if you can't add cards from your deck to your hand.
Yeah, very true. See Droll and Lockbird. Please get banned. Moving on. All right, let's talk about this next story about... you're going to have to tell me about this one, because I've briefly read about this, and I've seen videos about it, but I'm still don't fully understand like why I should care. So please take over here.
Yes. So basically, the Konami staff announced that they have developed a powerful image recognition technology, and basically they develop a program in-house so that when the computer is shown a pictures, they can immediately like recognize what card is it with a very high percentage. So the application and for this is still unknown, but then I already think of one which is like, if you remember the duo disc that was like sold to promote the anime and the card game back in the day, like I can see them like making duo discs with this image recognition program within them, and we can actually have like holographic duels in the future. And we already see that with the augmented duel, like in the Worlds, I think last year. But like this can actually brings a whole another dimension to the Yu-Gi-Oh card game.
People would definitely buy it.
I mean, yeah, if I can place monster and then I can have like image of them, yeah, like I would buy it.
So yeah, that definitely has a lot of potential to be cool. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see where it actually goes. Now we're peeking into non-Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, but I have overall been very skeptical about VR and stuff like that. So I'm not the right person to talk about this because I'll always be like, talk to me when VR is actually a thing. Everybody keeps telling me it's going to be a thing. Talk to me when it actually is. We'll see. That's what I have to say.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to our next story. We have the first shipment of
the next Shonen Jump promo. Yeah.
So have they already been shipped?
Yeah, image of it has been surfaced, and then people have been like receiving the cards.
If you don't know, the next promo is Shooting Riser Dragon, which is the card that I actually was thinking of last week in our episode when we were talking about something else. But it's a good card. It's a really good card. So I'm really looking forward to getting this. I should be getting hopefully one soon. So yeah.
Yeah, this card is really good in Zombie Swarm as well as ABC. Well, less. It's just like if you play a deck with Destrudo, you can access this card.
Yeah.
And then it's a Foolish Burial on legs, basically.
Yeah.
And a lot of decks can take advantage of the graveyard setup. Of course, like you cannot use the sand monster effect this turn, but then like the next turn, or in the sense of ABC, you just need to send the missing piece and then just banish it for a buster, and you don't care if you can't use the effect of the piece. So
good card.
Good card,
I think it's gonna find its way into a lot of different competitive decks. So
solid tag out target for needle fiber as well.
True. So yeah, you could tag out and you could dump something immediately, correct?
Yes.
So yeah, I mean that's really good. So awesome. All right, moving on to the metagame reports, and we're gonna start, of course, with the OCG, and we have. There was no metagame report this week on Road to the King, correct?
Yes.
So, Ty, you did the yeoman's work of going through and compiling these statistics yourself. So thank you for that, Ty.
Yeah, so I went through the post on yugioh for the OCG deck list, and I've basically like took the tournaments with 50 players or more, because those would like represent the meta better. Yeah, so we have 42 decks from like I think 7 or 8 tournaments, and we have Sky Strikers still on top, 14 of them for 33%. And next up we have
Needle
Alta Guys, and the meme deck, the Good Stuff Link, both at second place with 14.3% each. And then we have Thunder Dragon and Trickstar, both share 7.1%. And after that is a bunch of Rogue, Goki Hero, Spiral, Jung Doppel, Plan OTK, Grassnoid, like a bunch of stuff. So
What stands out to me is how Good Stuff Link, quote unquote, or Needle Fiber Turbo is just, I mean, it's essentially in the top 3 now. I mean, it's ridiculous. To me, it just shows off how crazy of a card Needle Fiber itself is, and how that card is going to find its way forbidden at some point.
yeah, we've reverted to like old Yu-Gi-Ohs when we just chose like the 40 best cards out of the card pool and just throw them in, and we'll have a good deck.
It's insane. I mean, and it's kind of funny to see it right next to 2 very much control decks, and to see a deck that's so centered around like just turboing out Needle Fiber and going off.
Yeah, the deck is super consistent. You have like 20 play starters, and then you also main deck Kaiju, so you have outs to like Super Bowl Thunder Dragon. You have outs to the Sky Striker Widow Anchor, just tribute over the link, and then all their spell is like you can activate them and you go off. So it's like it's a very consistent deck with the toolbox to deal with the control decks going second as well.
I mean, hey, Thunder Dragon sticking in there.
Thunder Dragon's still doing well.
Yeah, I'm again really looking forward to that deck. I don't know. I don't have too much to say. Nothing much has changed other than that Good Stuff Link. That's definitely the thing that stands out.
I couldn't find the China national tournament results anywhere, so that's a big part of this metagame report that we don't know about. But I still think that Sky Striker will still be the best deck there, the most dominant deck.
That is most likely going to be the case. Okay, so obviously on the last episode, one thing I do want to talk about. On the last episode, we talked a lot about how we're thinking that our next format is going to be kind of mirroring this a little bit of Sky Striker and Altergeist. If Needle Fiber comes out in the next core set or however it may be, how much does that completely change everything?
I mean, Altergeist doesn't like get a big boost from that, but Sky Striker like gets a huge boost from Needle Fiber alone. And we'll also see like ABCs. I think will be a very good deck once Needle Fiber is out. The big part is what's the fate of Firewall Dragon, because Needle Fiber goes with Summon Sorceress. Summon Sorceress will go into Firewall somehow, and then you just basically try to make a board or extra link them. The big part is the Firewall Dragon part, because the OCG still have Firewall Dragon at 1. If Firewall Dragon is to 0, then ABC would still be a thing, because like you can consistently get Buster turn 1, but the other link decks, not so sure, because Firewall is always going to be the linchpin of like every link spam strategy.
Yeah, which is why I still question. I'm starting to lean towards your direction of maxi to 3. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about some of the tech choices in the OCG that you pulled out. We have Trap Trick, right? Is that what that is?
Yes.
Trap Trick, and that is the one. That's the trap where you banish. You banish a
Banish
normal trap
one
from your
normal
deck.
trap. Yeah.
And then you activate or set. No, it's set.
You set a card
Yeah.
with the same name from your deck, and then it can be activated this turn.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the rest of the turn, you can only activate one trap card. So it's a if you don't know from the name, it's a Trap Tricks theme support.
Yeah.
But then players in the OCG are playing one copy of this card in the side deck because they're also siding Dimensional Barrier, Heavy Storm Duster. So basically, if you draw this card, it's incredibly versatile because basically it can be a third copy of whatever you're playing. Like you play 2-Dimensional Barrier and one of this card. Like if you draw one of this card and 1-Dimensional Barrier, it's fine because you still have the Dimensional Barrier. If you don't draw Dimensional Barrier and you draw this card, you have the D Barrier. And it's a more efficient way of having a side deck because like I said, if you want to have Heavy Storm Duster and Dimensional Barrier, usually you have to play 3/3, which is 6. Now you can play 3, and you can play 2 D Barrier, 2 Heavy Storm Duster, and 1 Trap Trick, because Trap Trick is the third copy of both.
True.
So depend on the matchup, you just side in the 2 trap card and then the 1 Trap Trick, and then you'll be fine.
That is interesting. That's a cool kind of mathematical way to look at it. I look at side decking, so I really
And
like
then
that.
like people are also minting impermanence. So like
yeah.
if all else fail, you have a monster negate.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on to the next tech card. And this one, that one I kind of like sort of understood where that was coming from. What the Crystron
Thistvern.
Thistvern. What is this being used for?
Yeah, basically, the good effect that's being used for is that if the card's in the graveyard, you can banish it and add 1 Crystron monster from your deck to your hand. And this will add Crystron Rosenix, which is the one that you banish to get an extra, to get a token on the field. So basically, just more link materials.
Okay.
And they're playing 1 of each instead of like 2 of Rosenix. Just basically like consistency boost.
Okay.
And then they're playing it in Good Stuff Link. You just want to get to the needle fiber, and then you have a bunch of options to link away.
It's ridiculous.
Also, another thing that I think is being played for this interaction is Cherubini can send a level 3, and Thistvern is a level 3.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
like if you
yeah.
make Cherubini and then you send this card and then you add Rosenix, and then you basically have like 2 link materials to go into.
Interesting. That is kind of crazy. the things people are coming up with. All right, moving on to your tech choice. Is that what's going on? Or
This is
yes, tech choice.
this is the final tech choice, and then it's also the Thai sleeper card of the week.
Yes.
And the card for this week is Different Dimension Ground. It's a very non-complicated trap card. It's only 1 line. This turn, any monster sent to the graveyard is banished instead. So, as you all know, Goki, and if basically you set this, you I mean, it's not the best, but then like it's one of the best to stop the turn. You go first, you set this, and then when your opponent is about to go into Isoda, you just flip this, and then they have to decide to stop their turn there or trying to push. And if they stop their turn there, then you already have a lot of advantage for next turn with another battle phase. This is not only good in Goki, it's good in like basically a lot of decks that needs the graveyard. Like
So most decks.
yeah, especially in the OCG, because going first against CC card decks is still a thing there because 3 grass. You just set this, and then they say, and then they activate grass. You chain this, and then they just cry.
There's I play a lot of decks that could be shut down by this. So,
Yeah. It's a very good card, and like there's not a lot of printing. The last printing is the BLRR version, and I think those are like $1. I think it could be a very good card in the future, and the OCG is kind of proving it because they are citing like 2 to 3 copies of this. So I think it could be a very good card in the future.
Any of those cards that are like kind of floodgates, but they're like for 1 turn. I mean, that's good. So
I mean, they also have Macrocosmos at 3.
Yeah.
But Macrocosmos is a continuous, and like
Yeah.
you also need your graveyard for next turn.
Exactly. So, all right, now let's move on to the TCG metagame and maybe talk a little bit about banlist stuff. We will see. All right, so we had the UDS Invitational. That's essentially Nats for UDS. And the top 32, let's go through it. We have 11 Goki. 6 of them were pure. 3 of them were Sky Striker. 1 of them was PK Goki. 1 of them was Dark Goki. 10 Sky Striker. 7 of them pure. 3 Mech Knights. 5 Trickstar Sky Striker. 3 Invoked. 2 Mech Knight Invoked and 1 Sky Striker Invoked. 2 True Draco and 1 Paleo. Paleo sticking in there.
Yeah. Still a very good deck because you can play both Floodgates.
Yeah.
That's true for both them and True Draco.
Yes.
You can play both Rivalry and Gozen, which is really nice
Yes, exactly.
against Goki.
All right. So, I mean, let's start with some. I mean, we can start with some of these Goki lists, I suppose. 6 pure. The PK Goki. What? PK Goki?
I think is the 60 card version, but I'm not sure.
Okay, that makes sense. Dark Goki is one that
Malicious.
yeah, it's the one with malicious. That's a version of the deck that I get it. I get why people like it. It's very it's more explosive than the regular version, but it's not as consistent. So I don't know. I think the rank 3 version is still the best.
Yeah. Sky Striker Goki is like
Yeah.
having a resurgence somewhat because people are, I don't know, a lot of people say that the Sky Striker Goki version is actually the most consistent.
Interesting.
Like a lot of like professional players says that, but then the rank 3 version you can play like Aqua Dolphin, so it's like more resilient to hand traps.
Exactly.
I'm really not sure, but we can be sure that Goki is still the best deck.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's really no question. People keep like, oh well, it didn't win. It doesn't. I mean, it's the best deck. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, the deck is so unfair and boring. Moving on, the fall of Trickstar Sky Striker is still in there. I mean, it's the 3rd most represented deck, but once upon a time was clearly the best deck of the format.
Yeah.
A long time ago, seems like. But yeah.
The things that I am interested in and kind of surprised is the 3 Mech Knight Sky Striker and the 3 Invoke version. Because like we didn't like we see Mech Knight Invoke like somewhat, but then like they have the new Link monster, which is actually quite a big boost to their power.
Yeah.
They have like a 2 card going second OTK. And then going first, like you can easily get Mechaba out and play that with hand traps. But like the 3 Mech Knight Sky Striker is very interesting. I don't have the deck list yet, but I'm wondering if it's a going second Mech Knight Sky Striker.
I would imagine, right? I don't know. I'm curious to see that list as well.
Because like the thing with the Mech Knight is it's very good if you draw like if you draw purple and like get your engine going, but then like sometimes it conflicts with the Sky Striker engine because you have monsters in your main zone. So I'm not sure how it's working, but hey, they're topping UDS.
So is that? I mean, could it be one of those situations where they're just playing the
drones?
Yeah, the engine, quote unquote.
Could be, but then both engines are like so small. I don't know. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Are you playing like 15 hand traps or something, or like
it's possible?
Or maybe they're playing Phantom Sky Blaster.
I don't know.
Yeah, but
yeah, I want to see that list as well. So that could be interesting.
I'm really happy for Pure though. Like Pure is.
It's what you've been playing.
Pure is setting themselves to be the clear second best deck of the format.
Especially if the deck doesn't get hit that much on the ban list.
It very well may be the best deck.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the top 8, because once they whittled it down to the top 8, it was 4 Goki. Again, come on, Goki's best. 3 Trickstar Sky Striker, 1 Pure Sky Striker, and then the final was a Goki mirror match, a rather comedic Goki mirror match, if you ask me. I mean, there's not much to say on the final 4. I mean, the top 8, it looks kind of exactly like you'd expect it. But let's talk a little bit about this Goki mirror that
Yeah.
ended the tournament.
It was too interesting that I had to put it in.
So game one, our man opens Suprex and specials Twist Cobra. His opponent proceeds to scoop.
Yeah, but
Fair
like
enough.
like me and you during the final match of the locals. Like we both know that you're going to extra link me. We both know that I can stop it. So why waste the time?
Exactly. All right.
Just scoop.
So game two. Okay. So this is the person who scooped, right?
Yeah, he decided to go first.
He decides to go first. He opens away to Isolde. He does the first effect, and then once he goes to special from the deck, he gets dashed. He passes,
And then he get OTK.
and then he gets OTK'd, and that's the game.
It's so sad.
If this doesn't show you what is wrong with this being the best deck, then I don't know what will. Come on, like this is ridiculous. It's
then-
literally the die roll.
And then this also is like it's not the only thing with the mirror match. You get hand traps and then you lose.
Yeah.
But then like against other decks, like against Alter guys, you open Twin Twister, you also win. Against Sky Striker, you open Twin Twister, you also win. Like the decks is just too good.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Now, the one interesting thing about this is both of these players were not maining hand traps. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's some discussion, but nothing is like confirmed.
Yeah. There's definitely a European list that is like that, correct? Yeah.
But the European list is like for a local, so then he was expecting like not
Okay,
full meta.
yeah,
He was
yeah.
expecting like some semi-meta rogue.
That
so
makes sense.
He didn't care about
Yeah.
hand traps. But then like this is an UDS, so like a lot. Basically, it's like a place for the best players of the countries to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like these two don't main hand traps because like if you main like Goki is the best deck.
Yeah.
So you only have to worry about the mirror match. And in the mirror match, sometimes one hand trap is not enough at all. You need two, and sometimes you need three. So if
Unless
you
it's
want,
Scroll.
yeah, if you want to consistently win the mirror match, if you get them, if you lose the Dairo and you have to go second, you have to main like 12, 15 hand traps, and then it just decrease the consistency of the deck.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, I think this is what their thought was like. Okay, if I lose the Dairo against mirror match, sure, I'll lose. I'll lose game 2. I'll win because I side in the anti hand traps and stuff. And then game 3, I'll side in the hand traps and then we'll see. But then against any other matchup, you don't actually need hand traps to win. Like, sure, let Sky Striker do their stuff. You would just push through with your big monsters and then just float for advantage. So I think that was the thought.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it seems to work out for them. So I'm definitely curious to see if this becomes a little bit of a trend moving forward. But I don't know.
And we'll
People like their hand traps,
yeah,
so
and
see.
we'll have the list for the next podcast for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
see.
All right, well, let's talk about some of this ban list stuff. All right, so let's talk about a little bit of this ban list stuff. Now, we talked a lot about the ban list on the last episode, so we're going to keep this pretty brief, but we're just going to kind of go through and talk about, what do you want to do? The best hits for each of these top decks?
Yeah, because last time we were like pretty generic.
Yeah,
So this time I wanted to like talk about each deck and
Okay.
like what would be the justified hits and stuff.
yes. So let's start with the best deck. Let's start with Goki. What is the hit here?
Okay, of course, it's either Firewall Dragon
Yeah.
or Isolde, but then we talk about Isolde and it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So Firewall, but do you think a ban to Firewall would be enough to stop the deck?
I think so. I mean, it'd still be a good deck because the Goki cards themselves are good, and rematch is still a thing.
But then-
it's not gonna be as consistently extra linking you. You know, you need more extenders. So I don't know. It could still be a deck, but it's not gonna be the best deck anymore. Obviously,
I think so too.
I mean, before Summon Sorceress, I would have said rematch. But now with Summon Sorceress, I don't know. I, I mean, it comes down to what we talked about last week. Is either Firewall's gone or Maxi. So,
Yeah,
and
coming
if
back
we're
to three.
if we're not talking about Maxi, then I mean it's Firewall.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, let's say this theory of them not wanting to hit Firewall is true.
Yeah.
Then what's the best hit post Firewall?
And no Maxi either.
Yeah, assuming we're not getting Maxi because the TCG hates Maxi.
It has to be a combination of
Multiple cards.
for sure. Goblin could be a candidate, but then Goblin's so good for everything else.
Exactly.
And it's not like broken per se. Yeah, it's kind of his like protection from targeting it like extra normal. It's really good, but then it's not broken tier. That rematch, of course, if they want to hit Izzot too, sure. And Phoenix Blade, I think, have to be like 2 of the 4. And if one of the 2 is Phoenix Blade, then it has to be like 3 of the 4. I don't know. Because I don't think like hitting Phoenix Blade +1 is enough, per se.
I think if they're not going to do that, you're right. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be rematch gone. It's going to be Phoenix Blade gone. And just beyond that, I mean, I want to say Summon Sorceress gets it somehow, but they can't because Europe doesn't have it yet.
I think that some people say is banning Mermaid. Because
interesting.
It won't let you to actually have a link point down and get to Ibli, which is the big part of the combo to get something from the graveyard. But then, like, Mermaid outside of Goki is not doing anything. Like, it's not... Without Mermaid, nobody's going to be play Ibli. And then, like, it's just a brand new thingy that we're touching about.
They've got a bit of a mess on their hands with this deck. The clear answer is Firewall.
Yes.
So that's our answer. It's Firewall. Will it happen? We'll see. No sooner than August. #.
They have to give us soon. Oh my gosh.
All right. Let's move on to Trickstar/Trickstar Sky Striker.
Reincarnation to 1?
Yes, please. I really don't like that card. So, and I think that honestly is the best hit. I mean, Reincarnation to 1. I mean, they have to be a lot more careful with Reincarnation.
Like, I know OCG doesn't care about draw. Like, it actually doesn't play draw at all. But banning draw?
Yes.
Too much?
Well...
A meta game with draw and Maxi is like bound for something like really, really bad to happen.
Yeah.
With both draws and Maxis gone.
Yeah. I don't know. But if they hit Reincarnation, then people will stop, I would think, complaining about
Reincarnation and Scapegoat to 1, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Those are very good hits. I like that. And then let's just talk about Sky Striker now. I mean,
I know myself that Engage is super busted.
Okay, this is the thing. I told you this a couple days ago, and I will tell everyone this now. The more and more I play against this man, against pure Sky Strikers, the more and more I hate, with a passion, Sky Striker Mobilize Engage. I hate that card. And it's not, and I know everyone's going to say, oh, it's just because you can't afford it, blah, blah, blah. If I won the card, I would get the card. It's not that I can't afford it. It's a terribly designed card. It's a better pot of greed for Sky Strikers. Yeah. It's ridiculous. That card is, and it's not once per turn. The card is stupid. If I had my way, I'd say get rid of Engage or limit it or something. I don't think that's going to happen quite yet. I think it's most likely, if anything, we're going to mirror the OCG and have drones go to 1.
Which is totally fine. I actually have been practicing for drones to go to 1 with like main decking MST and like playing more to the field spell. Yeah, I think drones to 1 is a pretty good hit.
Do you think it's possible that they do hit Engage to 1 instead?
Not really, because like I think on Savage Strike we're going to have the next like. Actually, no, we didn't have any Sky Striker Link support in Soul Fusion, so not sure. Because like, you know how raise dark, and then you have different battle suit into different attributes.
Yeah.
And we still have 2 more for the light, and then for the we have the fire, water, and then the wind. So the light and the earth one is left if they're going that route. And like if Konami wants the deck to be like good for the future support, I guess. Not sure.
But yeah, but that hasn't been announced at all, even in the OCG yet, right?
I think we have one more Sky Striker card is coming. Oh yeah, we did have a Sky Striker support in Soul Fusion, but like the card is the I think it is like send the top 3 card from your deck to your graveyard.
Interesting. Look, if I had my way, it'd be engaged. I don't think that's going to happen yet, so I'll probably
Just
say
drone to 1.
drones to 1 is what's going to happen. I think the proper thing would be engaged, but whatever. Moving on to Altergeist. Altergeist, it did really well at Worlds, but other than that, it seems to be kind of flying under the radar here. So, the one thing that makes me afraid, because I am looking into building this deck and playing it as my deck next format. The one thing that makes me nervous is Dinos last year, because Dinos wasn't doing anything here, and then it won Worlds and was incredible at Worlds, so they hit it. This didn't necessarily dominate Worlds, so I'm not as worried, but it's still concerning. Do you think this deck is on the radar? And if it is, what is the hit here?
Yeah, knowing Konami with last year, then I think there will be some kind of hit to this. But then the problem with Altergeist and Chureko in general is that they win because of the floodgates.
Yes.
Most of the time. Their power ceiling is like super low. It's like Trickstar level of power ceiling. There's no explosiveness. You can't really OTK with them at all. And they just win by floodgating you and outgriding you. So you cannot hit like a card to reduce the power level because there's no power level to begin with. You can just hit the consistency part. And for Altergeist, consistency, maybe a hit to Multifaker because it's like the linchpin of the whole deck. Like Multifaker to, I don't know, 2 or 1. Melusik is also a very good card. Like individually, Melusik, Multifaker, Marionetter, all really good.
But what do you hit exactly? Like, I don't know.
Multifaker.
Yeah.
If
If you
I
hit
have
anything,
to
it's
hit something,
Multifaker.
it's Multifaker
Okay.
for sure.
Yeah. I think that's the only plausible one. I mean, I don't know. I don't think there's anything. You're right. There's nothing in this deck that is so overpowered that you're just like, we got to get rid. It's the floodgates, but they don't seem to care about floodgates. So, I mean, they care about some, but.
And then that's the same with Chureko. Like, what do you actually hit in that deck anymore?
Other than Diagram, but I mean.
If you hit Diagram, the next deck.
Yeah, if you hit Diagram, then you kill the deck and you kill other rogue strategies that use the deck. So.
There's literally nothing left to hit.
Other than floodgates.
Other than the floodgates, because those are the things that let them win.
Look, if we're talking about right here, we're talking about the proper hits for these decks. Like what they should hit is the floodgates.
I would hit Rivalry immediately at Rivalry or Gozen in some capacity.
I'd say ban Rivalry, but whatever.
The card just been for the game like way too long, and then like back then, like I'm sure nobody was playing it, but then like they got discovered and it's actually super good.
Yeah, exactly. If we're talking about the proper hits, then it's these floodgates. It's Rivalry and Gozen. You could maybe hit that, but I think Rivalry is the biggest issue here, so I don't know. It's annoying. All right, and hey, like I said, proper hits. The proper hit is engaged, so get out of there. Anyway, I think that pretty much wraps it up for this episode of 60 Card Bricks. Ty, you have anything else to wrap us up?
We have received a lot of
feedback.
Awards. Yeah, like ever since we got the video like featured, we received like a lot of new
subscribers.
Yeah, new subscriber with like a lot of support. So yeah, we're really thankful for it, and we're definitely going to try and keep the schedule to like one episode per week, and like we definitely will continue the history of the meta decks, since like that the first episode also received like a lot of good support. And yeah, we're just going to try and keep up the pace as well as the quality of the release.
Definitely. So yeah, the one thing I will say in terms of a bit of a housekeeping note, I will. These episodes we're gonna try to in the coming weeks kind of figure out exactly when we want these episodes to come out, and I will try my best to stick to that. But bear with me because I work out a lot, and I also have school on top of things. So just bear with me if we do get off schedule at any point. Just a note there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much wraps it up. Thank you for joining us for this episode, and we'll see you in the next one.